Welcome back to episode 6 of Kalimdor Exiles Season 2, and right here you see me upgrading what little I have built of my fortress to Black Ice. Black Ice is pretty much the strongest building material, at least one of them. Pretty much all of the tier 3 building materials have the same stats, just different appearances. I only use the basic sandstone as a means of laying out the foundation without using a ton of resources. Now that I have it where I want it, I've slowly been upgrading it as I've been getting in the materials, and since I got a ton of black ice in the last couple of episodes, it's now finally time to start building it up. But that's gonna be for another episode. This episode is gonna be dedicated purely to Dalaran. So this will be a relatively short episode, as really Dalaran itself is just a single city, but I was finally able to get to it without crashing. It only took several tries, but now that I'm in, I can see Dalaran in its full glory. Now during Season 1, I did manage to get a little sneak peek of Dalaran, and there was absolutely nothing here. And there still relatively is nothing here, but there is a hell of a lot more than there was beforehand, such as this mount vendor. Now you could buy mounts with various types of currencies. The Horde, Alliance, and the Brigands all have their own currency. Where do you get them? Well, supposedly they drop off of the different faction enemy, NPCs, but I have not seen one yet. Even as I'm recording this, where I've got, lots more hours put into the game from what you're seeing, I have still only found one token, and that was from a quest. I have not seen a single one drop, but regardless, we'll have to figure it out later. I will eventually come back and get some of the mounts, because they are unique to this server, especially the zebra one. That is not in the main game. Now, to start off the Dalaran exploration, I head to the Horde area. I don't actually remember what the areas are called, I just remember Horde and Alliance area, but either way, this area is pretty much empty. There is nothing there other than some furniture, but it's still really neat to see it in a 3D space. I did find Garona of all people here, and she's a vendor, okay? I think maybe they're just called Garona and they're not actually the Garona, but regardless, I continue my search around. I go downstairs in the tavern, there's absolutely nothing there, and then I decide to go upstairs where I do find some gear vendors. This guy right here, though, is a quest giver. Now, I don't actually know what you need to turn into him to complete it, but you can get a mailbox and a storage unit from him. So, how this works is if you have that storage unit down in your base, you can summon the mailbox wherever you are to send things from your inventory directly into that storage unit in your base, so you don't always have to keep stopping to drop off stuff. It's very neat quality of life, but I don't want to use it just because of that quality of life. I kind of want to play this, normally, where you have to actually go to your base, drop off, resupply, and go back out in the field. That's just how I like to play. But either way, I continue on where I find something called the Sipta House. By going into here, you could find different vendors that sell you various things from the Isle of Sipta DLC. So it's one way of getting it, considering a lot of the Isle of Sipta DLC stuff is not on this map besides the creatures. At least these items you could pay for with normal gold you can get in-game. But you can't say the same thing for this next vendor, who will sell you various types of mini statues that seem to randomize every few minutes. He wants, they're called question mark. It's just basically mystery essence that you could find from Sipta, but you could also find on this map as well. Now, moving on to the Horde Bank. I do see a mailbox, but unlike the mailboxes in like Ogrimmar or Razor Hill, you cannot access this mailbox. I go inside and there are NPCs. A lot of them are fighters that say that they are citizens of Dalaran, I believe mages. I actually don't know what the word in front of the von Dalaran means because I'm not German. Either way, I go to the bank. Now, the bank works similar to the bank that you would find in Ratchet, where if you have different currencies of this server, you can transfer it to become a different currency. But, as I said, I have not been able to find these currencies just yet because I don't know if it's a bug or just a severely low drop rate. But regardless, I continue on my search now to the crafting area. The crafting area, some of the buildings are empty, but others do have NPCs that you can purchase from, such as this guy here where the blacksmith is. While he doesn't sell ore or bars or even weapons, he does sell placeable siege weapons, such as the placeable trebuchets and even the brand new archer's post. Now if we go across the way into the Herbalist, we can find a potion maker who will sell you various types of potion for Dalaran coins. Now again, I don't know where to get the Dalaran coins, and I don't actually know what these potions do because unfortunately they are all written in German. But regardless, later on as I walked outside, it was starting to turn nighttime. Seeing Dalaran at nighttime is very beautiful because of all of the various lights that illuminate in the darkness. But it was time to go into the actual citadel. Now I looked around, it was fairly empty, but up top there is a portal to head up to the very top. But first, as you see here, I'm just getting some screenshots of Dalaran at nighttime because of how beautiful it is. So there you go, there's the thumbnail for the video. Now, finally heading up to see what is at the top of the citadel, I see a red portal, so I go through it because, hey, random portal, let's just go through it. Of course, it brings you to the backside, so you have to walk all the way around, but once you do make it into the room, you can find none other than Antonidas, who will sell you some magical items, such as spells and staves, but I don't have the requirements to use them, so I continue on now to the Alliance area, and I go into their tavern where you find the Alliance equivalent of the same kind of NPC we found earlier, who will give you the mailbox and the portable storage unit. The rest of the Alliance side is pretty much the same. It has the same bank with the same sort of banker NPC. I go to the Violet Hold where I do find a summoning stone, which means that eventually there will be a dungeon here, but there is no portal, so no dungeon for me today. The last area before we go down below is going to be this really cool ice shop. It sells pretty much everything ice and black ice, and I think that's kind of cool to have unique stores that sell specific type of items. I wonder if eventually they will fill in Dalaran to have more shops like this. But now it was time to head down into the Dalaran sewers. And this is where you're gonna find all of the stuff for the Brigand faction. So you have the Horde and Alliance up top, and you have the Brigands down below. Makes sense since this is where all these shady types are usually found. I headed down into the water to see if maybe there was an Easter egg of the shark that swims down below, but no, there was no shark. So that kind of disappointed me a little bit, but it's okay, we still have more of the sewers to explore. I head down into the main area where tons of duels are to be had, but it was very empty, so it is not filled in just yet. I didn't really find any other NPCs besides that one brigand bank. Even the water near the tavern was gone, so yeah, that kind of shows you how unfinished this area is, but either way, it was still kind of neat to explore the inside of the tavern, considering it is a relatively unique model, and how it was all completely imported into this version of the game. But now the last thing for this video is to check out the sewer exit, and sure enough, you can get all the way to the end where for some reason there's water coming out of it, even though there's no water in Dalaran, at least in that little pool area, and you can in fact jump down to your death into Mulgore if you so wished. So that's where we're gonna end up this video, running up to where the flight path would have been if it was there. The next episode is going to be me taking on Stone Talon Mountains. There are a lot of unique locations in Stone Talon Mountains, and with the discovery of being that there's things in between them zones themselves, like up on top of the mountain areas. So you're going to see all of that in the next episode. I hope you're enjoying this second season of Kalimdor Exiles, and if you didn't know, there is in development an Eastern Kingdoms version. It is technically already playable, but it is in the very early stages of it, so soon you are going to see me explore it for the first time. I've got a poll out right now on my community section of what races you want me to play as I plan on trying it from both the Horde and the Alliance side, because I have 2 Steam accounts, so I can do that. So until then, I will see you next time.